What's going on, man? How y'all doing? Welcome back. We are going to be tapping in for a timeless reading. As per the usual, we are going to be doing the astrology portion. I'm going to have the charts and the transits right next to me. And if you don't want to see the astrology portion, I'm going to have it time-stamped in the comments below. But let us go ahead and hop right in. I hope you guys have been well. We are in Mercury retrograde. I forgot to mention it last reading, but we are currently officially in Mercury retrograde, and it doesn't go direct until I think May 14th, so we have a little bit of time. This is a really good time to slow down and reflect. And with a lot of the different aspects that we have going on today, there's a lot going on today. I'm drawn to something that we haven't seen before on this channel as we've been doing these readings. If you take a look at the moon, it is quincunx Pluto. So I did a little bit of research, and quincunx is also called in conjunct, and it has a lot to do with miscommunication between energies. So if you think about the fact that we have Sun conjunct Jupiter, that's where I feel like there's this kind of pressure between these two, but these energies are still working together. There's just a breaking point or pressure between essentially how, again, this goes back to that whole like blessings showing up in the world, and I feel like there's a lot of different blessings coming in between this Sun and Jupiter energy conjunct. But the fact that we have the moon conjunct Pluto, or excuse me, the moon quincunx Pluto, that's telling me that there's some kind of miscommunication between what you feel and what you don't see. And there's a lot of really amazing things coming in for you. We've been tapping into this for a while, but it doesn't look like it's fully manifested. And I feel like that has a lot to do with the fact that we are currently in Mercury retrograde, and that is the time when things do technically slow down. That doesn't mean you have to stop everything completely. You can still do the things you need to do, just, double check, read the fine print, and all that kind of stuff. I am also drawn to Lilith. So there's a lot going on with Lilith today, but most particularly I am drawn to the sextile between Lilith and Venus, and then the sextile between Chiron and Venus. So I feel like these manifestations that we're tapping into, especially the fact that we have the moon quincunx Pluto, and then we have the stuff going on with Venus that we just talked about, I feel like those manifestations have to do with love and relationships. This is something that's really getting us to trust the process. But more than anything, I feel like if there is a little bit of a pause or there's no movement in a particular area of your life, this is the opportunity for you to heal wounding surrounding that. And with Lilith against sextile Venus and Chiron sextile Venus, Venus being the planet of love, not only romantic love, but love in all areas of our life, right? This is like fourth house energy, which has a lot to do with the home, stability, groundedness, and all of that kind of stuff. Venus being ruled by Taurus, and Venus is currently in Gemini, right? And so I feel like there's this communication between your inner world and your outer world, and there's a lot of, I feel like, shadow elements being triggered up. This has a lot to do with the ego. What does your ego feel like it needs to stay in control, and is there a way that you can balance that out to make sure your shadow, your ego, and your higher self all have a voice and a say in your manifestations and the decisions you're making moving forward. But yeah, man, if you're feeling that pressure, again, it's like trying to live up to an expectation is also what I'm seeing here with the Sun conjunct Jupiter. Trying to live up to some kind of expectation, also Sun sextile Moon. I feel like your emotions and how you're showing up in the world are looking good. I feel like there's an improvement from what we were seeing the past few readings. I feel like there's the sense of you're kind of really embodying those lessons now. Before, when we were tapping into this energy, there was a lot that was coming up, and we were reflecting and we were looking at different stuff. And now that Mercury retrograde has started, we're now applying all of that. And this is the time where you're sitting down with that plan book and you're really writing out the steps of how you want to move forward. If this is in career, this is you making real honest decisions about what's going to be fulfilling for you, and making decisions that you feel like are going to make you happy in the long term, keeping in mind that happiness is fleeting. Happiness is just as important as the sadness and the anger and all of the things that we do experience that give that sort of balance. Because if it was just pure happiness all the time, it would just become you know what I mean? It's one of those things where it's like the yin and the yang and the balance, right? I'm going to go ahead and leave that there. Again, that is timestamped below if you don't want to see that. We're going to hop right into the tarot portion. If you want to book a personal reading, watch the extended videos or listen to my music. Everything is in the description. Thank you to everybody that has supported me and also being patient. I've been trying to catch up on rest and personal readings and just overall trying to regain my own mental peace. Not that I haven't been not at peace, I've just been tired, yo. But yeah, man, I'm never going to contact you for a reading in any way, shape, or form. The only way to book a reading with me is to DM me on Instagram or send me an email. Thank you to everybody that does book personal readings. I have actually revamped the way I'm doing the picture readings. So if you don't know, I have picture readings and I have video readings. Before I would just type up the readings and send a picture and then type it up and send it like that. But now I actually create like a whole little document, right? So yeah, it's a whole new, I just discovered it over this past like a few days, and so I think it's pretty cool. So hit me up if you do want to do that. But aside from the point, we're going to be tapping in with the Ethereal Visions Tarot. Luna Edition, see what wants to come out today. So bottom of the deck we have the Hermit, right? I mean, this is pretty indicative of Mercury retrograde energy going into that Hermit mode. We got a pretty big stack, so I'm going to go ahead and take a few at a time and we'll tap in and see what comes out. Alright, so we have the Moon. We have Queen of Cups. So a very deep, watery, emotional energy today. What is the Moon in? The Moon is in Gemini, and it's actually, we're just coming out of that new moon as well. And let's see, we have the Page of Swords. Yeah, I feel like there's this conversation going on between your mind and your emotions right now. I mean, I don't think you're really showing this to people. I feel like this is something that you're kind of keeping to yourself. Page of Wands, trying to decide which direction you want to go. This could be in career. This does feel like a career or life purpose kind of energy, trying to determine which direction is going to be the best for you in the long term. It's really easy to be short-sighted when it comes to stuff like this, trying to decide, well, if I go in this direction, is it going to make me happy? I think the better question here is not focusing so much on which direction is going to make you happy, but learning to find happiness in either direction that you're in. Because I feel like whatever decision you make, there's big decision energy. This came out in the short video. Whatever decision you make, the possibility for happiness is still there, but it's just going to be different. So just different flavors, you know what I mean? It's like if you're gonna go get like boba or something, it's still gonna have the little boba, the boba balls or tapioca balls or whatever, if you want that. But there's just different flavors. But it's essentially going to be that same type of manifestation if you catch my drift, you know what I mean? It's like you're still manifesting the things you want. It can just come in many different ways, and I feel like this energy here, I feel like that's what's going into this whole, what we were talking about, the quincunx moon, quincunx Pluto. It's learning to trust that. It's learning to trust in yourself, in your decisions, and understanding that whatever you decide to do, you're in control of your own happiness. You'll be able to find happiness. That's not to say that some situations may feel worse than others for you, but that's essentially what is guiding you to make those decisions in the first place. And so with the Hermit energy here, this is you getting to that place where you're really looking at everything. You're looking at all of the decisions you made in the past, where that has led you, and how those have led to recent decisions that you have made, and trying to make a decision based off of experiential knowledge, opposed to just being very quick to act and saying, I'm going to do this because I feel this way, right? And this is kind of what I'm seeing too. This is you not just reacting anymore. This is you reflecting on the emotions that you do feel and no longer being in that reactive space, because you've completely changed the way you go about communicating. And I don't necessarily know if this feels like more of like an internal communication. I feel like you're changing your self-talk, and by you changing your inner world, that's essentially allowing you to see things differently and to make different decisions in your life. Okay, let's get the other stack that we have. Okay, we have the Six of Cups. Could be tapping into a love situation now. We have the, what is this? The Emperor. 8 of Swords. See, we have the 3 of Cups. Okay, and we have the 8 of Pentacles. And then we have the 10 of Wands. So this is clearly weighing heavily on you. Whatever decision this is, I feel like with the Emperor here, this has a lot to do with your life path. This can be both in love and career. I feel like they're intertwined. We've talked about this before too. Decisions in one area are going to affect the outcome of another. So, like an example, let's say you have a new career opportunity and it requires you to move to another state, city, or country, and maybe you meet somebody and you start a relationship with this person, and now that's a factor in your decision. And I feel like that's kind of what I'm seeing here. And I feel like that's kind of why we're seeing this stuck energy with the 6 of Wands, 8 of Swords, and the Emperor. I feel like there's this energy here where you're trying to determine what it is that's holding you back. And I feel like it has something to do with the past. Either something that didn't go the way you wanted it to, and that's causing fear, and that's essentially influencing this decision that you're making. Or this is somebody that you're dealing with, that you have history with, that you maybe feel tied and bound to. And this energy is getting you to look at why you feel tied and bound to this particular situation, job, or person, right? I feel like there is the opportunity here for you to really, this feels like a really positive shift for you, right? We have the 3 of Wands, the 3 of Cups, 8 of Pentacles, and what is this? The 10 of Wands. It's interesting because on one hand it feels like this is really amazing, a really great opportunity, or a really, like, whether in love or career, this feels like positive changes, right? We have the King of Cups at the bottom of the deck here. Okay, so we have counterparts. We have the King and the Queen of Cups here. This could be some kind of divine, deeply spiritual relationship that you have with this person. This could be you finding balance within yourself, both masculine and feminine energies, and applying those combined with your emotions to make this decision, making an emotionally intelligent decision. But more than anything, this feels really positive. It feels good. It doesn't feel like it's stressful, because I think it's overwhelming is what it feels like. I don't think you expected this to come about so quickly, or the way it is coming about. So that could also be the quincunx, Moon, and Pluto that we're talking about. A lot of this unseen energy with the Sun conjunct Jupiter is manifesting for you. Apologies, guys. And we have the Sun sextile Saturn as well, but it's also squaring Pluto, right? And so there's this energy too where it's like these karmic lessons are now being cleared. It feels like good karma is coming in. Sun sextile Saturn, good karma is coming in for you based on the decisions you made in the past. Excuse me. I have not done readings for a few days, so my voice tends to get a little hoarse, but I feel like there's also some kind of miscommunication here. And I feel like that's between your mind and your heart, and that's why that was coming out, allowing you to balance. Guys, I'm so sorry this happens, or my vocal cords will get a little rough. My apologies, man. So let's go ahead and get some advice on this. This is, I feel like I'm just clearing my throat for most of the reading. Let's get some advice on this energy here. How can you, whatever needs to come out, because there's a lot of different things that came out. And we already spent a little bit of time, so I don't want to take too much of your time. And we're going to clarify this. So, bottom of the deck, we have the 7 of Wands. I feel like that's you weighing your options here. 6 of Swords. This is you making a decision that's going to, it's like making the, it's like the path of least resistance, right? What do you feel like is going to be not the easiest, but the least conflicting? Because that's where I feel like the conflict is coming from. The conflict is coming from a place of trying to avoid conflict, but that's creating more conflict within yourself, not necessarily externally. This feels very internal energy, where I feel like you're avoiding either making a decision, or you're avoiding having that inner conversation and really reflecting on this, And that might be what's preventing you from really fully embodying or fully enjoying the fruits of your labor or these manifestations coming in for you, right? I just feel like you're not really, it's like almost like, it's not that you're not seeing something, but I feel like there's still a lot that you don't know about the things that are coming in. And it's the process of getting to know these things. If this is somebody new, this is not making a rash decision based on your past experiences, but giving people grace to be human and understanding that they have their own process and lessons. And it's giving each other the space to have that, and taking the time to really get to know each other on a deeper level. All right, let's get one more card of advice here to clarify the Six of Swords and Seven of Wands. And then we're going to take this over to an extended. Okay. So bottom of the deck we have the Ten of Swords. Something needs to come to an end here, and I feel like this has a lot to do with karmic cycles. We have the Devil. Okay, we get this card a lot. And we have Judgment. I feel like there just needs to be a decision to let go of something. It's pretty self-explanatory. I think as a final advice, this is the time for you to reflect on what needs to stay and what needs to go, right? Mercury retrograde energy. Reevaluating how you're communicating with others, how you're communicating with yourself. Are those in alignment? Are you in alignment with what you want to experience? Are you putting yourself out of alignment with certain things to be in alignment with other things? And how does that make you feel, right? This is the time to go within. I know we always talk about, oh, let's go within, but this is really the time, for sure. Like with these transits and Mercury being on retrograde, what I've learned is that if you don't give yourself space to rest and slow down, the universe will oftentimes force you to slow down in not so great ways. I've had that experience many times. So if you feel yourself reaching your limit, really learn to set those boundaries with how much you're willing to put in, whether that's work, love, or career, and make sure you're taking care of yourself. This is what I feel like has been a major cycle here for you. It's like pushing too hard, trying to force yourself into a space that needs time to naturally unfold. That's what I feel like is creating this stress here. And that's what's coming to an end. I feel like that's what we always talk about, cycles coming to an end, but this is just part of that. Cycles are always repeating, and there's always new cycles, and then the old cycles try to get our attention. And so that's why we talk about cycles so much, because I feel like we're cyclically on this spiral of essentially ascending ourselves and healing different layers of different lessons and various cycles. And this is just another one of those cycles closing out. Really, really important time for you to reflect on why you make the decisions you do and what you can do differently to make sure you're not making the same decisions that got you in places you didn't want to be in the past. I'm going to go ahead and leave that there. We're going to take it over to an extended. If you want to book a personal reading or listen to my music or watch the extendeds, all of that is in the description. I will never contact you for a reading in any way, shape, or form. The only way to book a reading is to DM me on Instagram or send me an email. All of that is in the description. That said, I love you so much, and I will see you on Patreon or in the next reading. Goodbye.